If you invest in bonds or have a portion of your portfolio allocated to bonds, you need to watch today's video. How you doing, guys? My name is John Boyd. I'm a certified financial planner and I'm the founder and lead wealth advisor at Modern Wealth. If you like today's video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so that you can keep getting content just like this. And of course, if you need help with your own financial plan, reach out to us at www.modernwealth.com. That's modern spelled with no vowels, wealth.com. So bonds have historically played a role in portfolio composition for decades now. Now, without turning this into a full-fledged video as to why you would want to invest in bonds, it generally boils down to two key reasons. Number one, you want safety. You want to reduce sequence of return risk in your portfolio so that when stocks sell off, you in theory have a part of the portfolio that is much more stable. The second reason why people generally invest in bonds is that they can provide a stable source of fixed income. This is especially important when someone is in their retirement years and is seeking to make up for the fact they no longer have income coming in from their employer and they want to fill that gap with income from, let's say, interest from a bond. This is why bonds play such a critical role in so many portfolios. And yet, when it comes to bonds, I personally find that investors tend to be super lost with them. Everybody gets excited about stock investing, but when it comes to bonds, it's crickets. Bottom line, your average investor is in the dark when it comes to investing in bonds. And as a result, the bond allocation in these portfolios tends to be really inefficient. So, with this being the case, here are the three biggest mistakes that I see investors make with bonds or fixed income investing. Number one, your average investor tends to lack knowledge about different kinds of bonds or credit. Most people, especially in 2023, really only partially understand government credit like treasuries, and then at a very high level, maybe understand what a corporate bond is. But the reality is that there's tons of different kinds of bonds and forms of fixed income that are out there with differing levels of risk and differing levels of income that they pay out. And because investors don't really understand this, I find that A, they don't invest in fixed income, period, because they don't get it. B, they only buy things like CDs or individual treasuries. Or C, they just buy maybe a bond index fund, not understanding the composition of it. Bottom line is the bond portion of your portfolio really needs to be tailored to your specific needs. For example, maybe you need to tap that portion of the portfolio relatively soon. If that's the case, maybe exploring safer, short duration forms of credit is more appropriate. Or maybe you are investing for a multi decade retirement and need to have balance between stability and higher returns. So perhaps you increase duration a little bit and explore leaning on different forms of credit. This could be corporate bonds, preferreds, and even private credit within a portfolio. Mistake number two is because investors tend to lack knowledge about different kinds of bonds or credit, they tend to remain overly conservative. So these are the folks that I was mentioning earlier, maybe only buy CDs for their fixed income portion of the portfolio. But these are also folks that are too scared to extend duration within the bond portion of their portfolios. Most investors, even in today's interest rate environment, where you have a 10-year nearly at 5%, are too scared to lock up their money past a year or two. The reality is that locking in higher yields further out on the yield curve, while it can be scary, can be a way to lock in higher returns and ensure stability over a longer period of time. While yes, not everyone has the luxury to lock in rates or extend duration within the bond portion of their portfolio, if you're someone who inherently always has maybe 40% of your portfolio allocated to bonds, why would you not consider taking advantage of extending duration? Bottom line is because your average investor is really fearful of duration and fearful of other forms of bonds, that part of the portfolio really ends up lagging in returns over the long run. Mistake number three is that investors don't understand the impact of passive investing when it comes to bonds or fixed income investing. Over the last decade, especially given the dominance of the S&P 500, there has been significant flows to passive investing, such as putting your money in an index fund. While I agree passive investing certainly holds a place in a portfolio, its place in bond investing is a little bit more questionable. Bottom line is, passive index investment strategies are designed to replicate the performance of whatever the underlying index is, for better or for worse. In the case of the largest bond index, the Barclays Agg, the index is largely composed of more conservative forms of fixed income like treasuries and government agency bonds. While bonds generally should be safe and stable, you can still achieve safety and stability by, for instance, leaning more towards corporate debt issued by companies that perhaps pay higher interest and still have relatively high degrees of safety. This might mean that their credit rating is still relatively high and still considered investment grade. Because the primary bond index is so conservative and rigid, it allows for a more active bond manager to potentially outperform. So, in conclusion, your average investor's lack of knowledge regarding bonds is leading to poor utilization of them. This means that investors aren't allocating to bonds, period. And if they are almost always remaining too conservative. If you need help reviewing your bond allocation and how it fits into your financial plan, feel free to reach out to us at www.modernwealth.com. It's been a ton of fun, guys, and I will see you next time.